resistance band row. This is a great exercise for training the muscles of the upper back, the shoulder blades, the biceps, and the forearms using just a resistance band as a piece of equipment. Now, to set up for this exercise, I'm going to take one end of the resistance band and have it looped around something nice and sturdy and stable that's not going to move. For me, I'm in the gym today, so I have it wrapped around one leg of a barbell rack, but if you're at home, you should be able to find something like a heavy table or a chair or something where you can loop the band around one of the legs. You can do this exercise standing, kneeling, or seated. I typically prefer to do it seated the way that I am now. The way you sit doesn't really matter. I have one knee drawn into my chest and one leg long, but I could have both knees bent, I could have both knees straight, I could do whatever sitting position is comfortable for me. So play around with it, see what feels good for you, or see if you prefer to do this standing or kneeling. But once I have that all set up, the other end of the band is going to be in one hand here. Each time before I pull back, I'm going to drive my shoulder blade back, keeping my elbow straight. And now from here, once I have that shoulder blade squeezed back, now I'm gonna pull back with my elbow, try and drive it as far back as I can, a little bit behind my torso. Also try and keep the elbow driven into my side. I'm gonna hold there for a second at a time. Slowly let the elbow come forward, slowly let the shoulder blade come forward, and then repeat that again. So shoulder blade back, elbow back, hold for a second, squeeze back and squeeze in with the arm, elbow comes forward, shoulder comes forward. So I'm going to keep doing those two separate motions for every repetition. And again, my goal is to feel this mostly in my upper back, maybe a little bit in my biceps and forearms, because those are the muscles that I'm trying to train. Once I finish the amount of reps that I'm doing on one side, I would switch over to the other side and do the same thing. Now, if you want to modify the difficulty of this, if you have different weights or resistance bands, obviously you could use a heavier band or a lighter band, or you could just change where you're setting up. So if I wanted to make this a little bit heavier, I could back up a little bit. So now I'm starting with more tension on the band each time, so it's a little bit harder to pull back. If I wanted to make it easier, I would just scooch myself further forward. And so now I'm starting with less tension on the band, so it's easier to pull back. The goal of this should be to increase the difficulty over time, whether that's by using a heavier resistance band, or it's by getting further away, or it's by doing more sets and repetitions.